office to handle their planning board duties right now. So thank you guys for having me tonight. So yeah, tonight, to begin this presentation, I'm just going to introduce the plan. I'm going to introduce some statutory requirements. What that means is just state law on these types of approvals. And I'm going to review the subdivision with you guys as well. So ECS Development LLC has submitted a subdivision plan for phase 1 of the previously approved master plan. The property is located along the following parcel number along Blanton Street. The first phase of this development includes 72 lots. This includes 41 single-family units and 40 single-family attached units. And what that means is, the duplex units. All right, just go over the review process. So we're past the master plan phase for the TND development. Now we're on the preliminary plat approval stage. It ends with town council. And then the third and final stage, that's called the final plat stage. That's when once all the infrastructure is put in for the development, the lots can officially be subdivided, just so the infrastructure is put in place first before any construction goes forward. All right, review process, planning board review and recommendation. If the planning board fails to act within the 45-day period, the subdivider may appeal directly to the town council. And then town council will review to approve or deny the subdivision. Decision, so there's 3 types of decisions in the state of North Carolina. One's quasi-judicial, that's like your typical variances, special use permits. 2, those are your legislative decisions. Those are like text amendments and rezonings. What we're bringing to you guys today, or the developer is an administrative decision. Administrative development decisions are the everyday decisions to enforce the development ordinances. Zoning permits, notices of violation, interpretations of the ordinance, and just similar decisions, such as this. So in the eyes of the state, coming to the planning board and town council on subdivisions is not a requirement, because at the end of the day, the state mandates that we just approve things based on what the ordinance states. If it meets the ordinance, it has to be approved. And this is the general statute for that. North Carolina General Statutes 160D 801. Decisions on approval or denial of preliminary or final plats may be made only on the basis of standards explicitly set forth in the subdivision or unified development ordinance. So what that means, so say tonight, you guys see something in this development that doesn't meet the ordinance. You could vote to defer it so they could fix that, or you could deny it. But you have to state the section of the ordinance in which it doesn't comply. If that's the case, the developer would still fix it and come back with the revised subdivision.
If I can add on to that, Preston. So a good example of this in our day-to-day planning life is if you own a business, right, and you want to get a sign permit.
Could you state who you are?
My name is Alan Toney. I'm the planning director for the Hills Regional Commission. So if you are working on an administrative approval for such as a sign permit, what we have to do is say, does this meet the explicit standards set forth in the ordinance passed by the town council of the town of Columbus? If the answer is yes, we're legally obligated to give them that permit. If the answer is no, I have to send them a denial letter essentially stating, hey, this is what is incorrect. Your sign's too big, it's rotating and it's not allowed to rotate, it's flashing, it's not allowed to flash, something similar. And then we have to state exactly what it is. And then they can come back, fix their sign, get their permit. It's that same kind of administrative decision.
Thank you, Alan.
And who are you paid by? Are you paid by the county, city? Are you paid by the?
If you cannot speak out of turn, you have to sign up, and then you have to direct your questions to the board.
Okay, who is he?
We'll answer that question later.
So what we have tonight, so the owner details of the property, ECS Development LLC, tax parcel number, and the zoning is traditional neighborhood development. Just TND is what it's used in layman's terms. Some property history. It was annexed in the town limits December 14th, 2017. It was then rezoned to TND February 15th, 2018. This is also kind of where the proposed YMCA location will be. Here's a picture. This is the survey in itself. I know you guys have a copy in front of you today, and that was also sent out with the agenda materials. And then along with that, there's always the engineered drawings. And this is kind of their version of a site plan. But within these engineered drawings, you have, I think I have it on here, yeah. So you have the site plan, existing conditions plan, soil and erosion control plan, there's a lighting plan in there, road standards and road profiles, water plans, sewer plans, and just all those engineering specs. There's the survey, there's a approval letter from the Columbus Water and Sewer Department, there's the traffic impact analysis, along with the traffic impact analysis acceptance letter from DOT. There's the soil and erosion control plan approval letter from DEQ in North Carolina. There's the previously reviewed endangered species report. There's the driveway permit application, which is required by NCDOT. And then there's the wetlands report from the Army Corps of Engineers, which was also previously reviewed during the master plan phase. So when we're reviewing these preliminary plats, this is what we're looking at here. We're making sure it meets all these requirements, but along with that, we're making sure it meets the TND requirements, such as density and open space and so on. So when we review this, we're making sure all those things are check marked. And just to review some site calculations. So the overall density of this development, of this proposed development, is 3.04 units per acre. The single-family detached density is 41 units. Well, it's 41 units, which is 1.54 units per acre. Single-family attached, again, that's duplexes, 40 units. That comes out to about 1.50 units per acre. And then the total open space for this proposed development is 32.80%. So 32% of this property will be reserved for green space, open space. Excuse me. And then here's the UDO requirements for TND. So for single-family detached density, the developer would be allowed to go up to 7 units per acre, but they're only at 1.54. Single-family attached density, they could go up to 12 units per acre, and they're only about 1.50. And then the open space requirement is 15%, but they're at 32%, so they're over that required minimum. And then here's the traffic impact analysis. I'm not going to go really into the super specifics of it. I know you guys have it in front of you, but we also have the engineer today. And at some point, if you want to ask them super specific questions, I'll leave that to them. But the reviewed a bunch of intersections. NC 108 at South Peak Street, Fox Mountain Road and shared access, Fox Mountain Road, Walker Road, and it kind of just goes on. And there, I know, what was that? The Blanton Street Access B. That one would have probably been like 10 slides long. But it just goes into like super specific engineering specs, which you guys do have in your TIA acceptance letter. And then in the end, it just says all required improvements are to have NCDOT approved roadway plans prior to any approvals being issued. What that means is DOT is not going to approve their driveway permit until they see a set of plans that they approve. And then all improvements to the NCDOT system will be bonded prior to construction. And then all required driveway permits and or encroachment agreements are to be approved prior to construction. What that means is DOT, they are not going to issue a driveway permit until they approve the roadway plans. So based off this, staff recommendation, so just putting all that together to make it as simple as possible. Staff recommends approval, but with the conditions the developer does any improvement required by NCDOT based off their driveway permit conditions, because that's where NCDOT's authority is. All right, and then we went into this before, the endangered species studies recommendations. There are some recommendations within it. Let's see here. So the northern long-eared bat, it says may affect, not likely to adversely affect. It just recommends coordination with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. One, effects in this species are not yet regulated by federal agencies. The bog turtle just says there's no effect. The dwarf flowered heartleaf, no determination made, but it does recommend to coordinate with Fish and Wildlife during the development process. And there's the monarch butterfly, and it's just not applicable. And then you got the United States Department of the Interior conclusion based on this. So they say this enclosed species list fulfills the requirements of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service under their specific Endangered Species Act. And then also, there were some comments about eagles, I know, in the past, and we drove into it to kind of see where Fish and Wildlife falls on that. And this is a direct statement from their site. So any person or organization who plans or conducts activities that may result in impacts to bald or golden eagles, it wasn't represented in the plan, like they didn't recommend that, they didn't say that it would affect them, but still it says, or their habitats should follow appropriate regulations and consider implementing appropriate conservation measures. So our final recommendation is crafted around that as well. And then you have the Army Corps of Engineers. You have the Army Corps of Engineers conclusion. So they did a wetlands survey of the property, and there was one specific area that was identified as wetlands that would be impacted by the development. Well, there was a Supreme Court case in 2023 that ruled these are non-jurisdictional wetlands. So they can be impacted. So it says, we have determined the area shown as non-jurisdictional, this is straight from the report, non-jurisdictional wetland is not considered a jurisdictional water of the United States under the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And then, so this area is no longer considered jurisdictional based on the amended 2023 rule to conform to the 2023 Supreme Court decision. Here's just a map of kind of where that non-jurisdictional wetland falls on the property. So in the end, staff recommends approval with conditions that the developer does any improvement required by NCDOT based off their driveway permit conditions, the recommendations of the Endangered Species Report, and consult with the appropriate regional migratory bird office or ecological services field office on minimizing eagle impact during the site development and construction. And we just took that wording straight from the Fish and Wildlife site. And tonight, so your recommendations, well, planning board recommendation tonight is to recommend approval as presented, recommend approval with conditions, deny and state the section of the ordinance in which the subdivision does not comply, defer and state the section of the ordinance in which the subdivision does not comply, and then also, if the planning board fails to act within the 45-day period, the subdivider may appeal directly to the town council. If you guys have any questions for me right now, feel free to ask.
No, we don't answer 45 days.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you back here.
Please use your mic.
Teresa Morin.
Good evening. Teresa Morin, I live at 158 Ottaway Lane. You saw me before, I'm the creek lady, the flood lady, one that said we're all gonna die because there's gonna be a flood. I just want you guys to go on the record that if this creek floods into any of these homes, which has a 25-foot easement to the creek and a building, the developer will not be responsible. The folks that approved this will be responsible. Please put that in the record. Then I'm putting on a different hat. I'm a member of the Foothills Workforce Development Board. We have, as you presented in August, a housing study here in Polk County, which includes the town of Columbus. We have desperate need for two types of housing: senior housing and workforce housing. Workforce housing provides affordable housing for middle-income workers who may not qualify for subsidized housing but still struggle to afford market-rate homes. It is designed for essential workers like teachers, nurses, police officers, and firefighters. That's what we need. I'm throwing a Hail Mary here. If you and the developer can work together to create housing that we need. Yes, everything's been approved. I totally get it. Yes, this is an economically viable project. I get it. But could we please offer to work together to create housing that we need? Thank you.
David Riddle.
My name is David Riddle. I live in Saluda. I've been in Polk County since 1986, and I spend a lot of time in Columbus. When we teach our children to play games, whether it's baseball or Monopoly, we explain the rules. We tell them following the rules makes the game fair for everybody. Adult society does this too. We make laws and regulations and procedures so things will happen in an orderly way. So things will be fair for everybody. This is the way it's supposed to happen anyway. I've been attending meetings about this proposed development for over a year now. People keep showing up and saying they don't want this development for many sensible reasons, but I keep hearing the people in positions of authority say the developers are following the rules, there's nothing we can do. To me, this hardly seems fair. I think lots of people here tonight agree with me. I would like to believe that somehow there is still hope that the citizens in this community who are playing by the rules and expressing their opposition to this development might still have a chance of being treated fairly in this game. Thank you.
Rick Stitch.
Hi, I'm here basically seeking additional information. My name is Rick Stitch. I live at 1378 Ricks Haven. I'm also an elected member of the Polk County School Board. We've heard almost nothing about this development except that there's one in the planning process. And trust me, 450 single-family homes will have an impact on our schools, Polk Central Elementary especially. I mean, we could end up double shifting. We're going to end up having to change our bus fleet. We don't know anything you're doing. And coincidentally, we happen to be doing our 5-year state required plan for facilities need assessments. And we have 2 elementary schools that are over 100 years old. So their condition isn't particularly wonderful either. So we would really appreciate the commission provide our commission the information we need to do our job as a county. Because any facilities are going to either have to come out from a bond or come straight out of the county commissioners for what we're going to have to build.
Janet Orselli.
Hi, my name is Janet Orselli. I live at 252 Upward Trail. This is about the 4th or 5th time I've been before either the planning board or the town council. And every time I come, it's packed. People are here, they're upset, they don't want it in this town. They keep bringing their concerns, and they keep being told they can't do anything, you know. And I just feel like the times are changing. People are becoming more aware of how valuable the environment is, how valuable small towns are, that we don't need to build up big communities in order to, you know, live in this world. You know, people are beginning to value small towns. And it just hurts to see this happening and to feel that we're powerless to do anything, even though we who live here in the town don't want it. It's obvious. The majority of people in Columbus, probably in the whole county, don't want this development, yet it's continuing through. I mean, what can we do? It is ill-suited to this area. It does not fit. And the houses are going to be smack dab up on top of each other. It's just going to be awful, and nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. I don't even know what to say. It's just beyond belief. And it's very sad. That's all I can say. It's very sad. And there needs to be some option. I don't know why developers want to come into a town that doesn't want them. Why? Other than money. Money's all that's behind it. Why can't we have a say? This is where we live. We should have a choice in this.
Thank you.
Amy Allman.
Amy Allman, 170 K Street, big old town of Columbus. We got this in 9/19 in our wonderful water bill, and I just want to make sure everyone's aware. It doesn't matter if you live in the county or not, because if you drink the water anywhere around here, there's possible lead in it. Let's just make sure we know these things. So our water system recently violated a water drinking requirement. Okay, so let's learn. So what should I do? Let's learn about construction in your neighborhood. Unless your service line is not made of lead or galvanized, you should be aware of any construction or maintenance being worked that can disturb the line. ground tremors from constructions may suddenly cause more lead to release from lead or galvanized service lines in the area. Well, guess what? My house is old, and there's probably a good chance there's lead in there. Now, I haven't done it yet, because guess what? It costs a good bit of money. You have to check it, it costs a good bit. So, and I don't know why I've got to check it when this information should have been taken care of by our town. Now, it says we dropped the ball, but, you know, this is the planning board, I understand that too, but I want you to make it understand, infrastructure is not ready. We don't even have what we need right now.
No.
But y'all know this. You live in the town, you live in the area, and I'm sure you've heard enough. But just a reminder for everyone here, November 20th is the town council meeting. Everybody needs to show up at 5:15, but you gotta get there before that, or you can't get on the clipboard to sign and write and talk, okay? The other thing is, there's gotta be a way to stop. I mean, we're already paying for everything else. We can pay for a lawyer. We can do what we need to.
That's right.
But there's gotta be some holes. There's somewhere there's holes in there. And I'm glad these fellows right here are here to help, and I know that's what their job is, and they know all the laws and all the things. But also, you know, we gotta make sure we know the information is what's real and what's not, and who's doing what, and who really wants to help us. And I'm not saying y'all aren't trying to help us, I'm just saying we need to be aware, take our time. I know you only got 45 days, or it jumps over to town council, which ends up being the ultimate speaker of what's gonna happen here. But they're not gonna live here, they're gonna build their stuff, and they're gonna leave us. And they're not gonna fix our water infrastructure, they're not gonna do anything great, they're gonna knock all the trees down. But y'all know this, we've been here, we've done it, but we're just gonna say it again. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being on the board and taking care of all this and having to listen, even though you're not getting paid. We appreciate y'all, thank you.
Adriano Rosa.
Consultants were being paid big money. Y'all passed it in the commissioners meeting.
Adriano Rosso, 231 Winding Creek Lane, Columbus. And it seems to me that you might be all set to approve the ECS plan to cover 130 acres of beautiful land with cement and so-called affordable housing. So here there is, and there was, a wonderful opportunity to set a different course for the town of Columbus, something that would show forward planning, that would value the environment, a healthy community, clean air, and quality facilities, a way to increase income without penalizing the environment, water quality, native life, and animals. Instead, it seems that you will be choosing a low-quality future for Columbus and Polk County, along the same line as the junk food restaurants that we encounter when leaving the highway, the lack of planning in the past in order to give this town a village look, the still present problems with drinking water supply, and the pitiful condition of the water treatment plant. And we know something about it. Major developers have made their millions by changing the face of the communities where they build. Just look at Boiling Springs.
Yeah.
Once they are done with the chaos of building and selling the properties, they will be gone from here, and we, the town of Columbus, will be stuck with the expenses of repairing broken roads and old and broken underground water and sewage pipes that already cause unresolved problems for local residents. Learning from the hurricane last year, I feel certain that the new development will experience major mudslides, creek flooding, pesticide and herbicide runoffs that will affect everyone in this community. The costs to this town will be higher than the temporary increased income from the new development. That is what we have learned by checking the real facts from other similar projects. My question to all of you and to the town council is, what legacy are you leaving for the future generations? Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Connie Ray.
Good evening, I'm Connie Ray at 936 Hawk Ridge Drive in Mill Spring. And so here we are again, we stand before the council over 1 year later, pleading you to search your conscience and to really hear our pleas tonight. It has become apparent to the concerned citizens who gather here in opposition to the ECS development that we are being placated while the money-hungry developers continue to yield tactic after tactic in hopes that something will stick to win approval for their dastardly plans of so-called progress. Concerned citizens have attended numerous meetings voicing real concerns as to why they are in opposition to this development. Just a few to mention are these: high traffic, high crime rates, higher taxes, lack of infrastructure creating unsafe drinking water, unsafe sewage and toxins from septic runoff. Hospitals, EMS, and other emergency teams will be unable to perform, especially in times of emergency. For those with ears to hear, I ask you to allow this particular scripture to resonate in your hearts. It's Isaiah 5:8-10. Woe to those who join house to house. They add field to field, till there is no place where they may dwell alone in the midst of the land. In my hearing, the Lord of hosts said, truly, many houses shall be desolate, great and beautiful ones without inhabitant. For 10 acres of vineyard shall yield 1 bath, and a homer of seed shall yield 1 ephah. We, the people of this county, we will not go away quietly, nor will we leave without a fight. Thank you for your time.
Deborah O'Donnell.
Good evening. I'm opposed to the development. I've spoken a few times, about this. One thing I'm wondering is, I talked to the engineer for DOT, and he's the one that is in charge of the Highway 176 construction. And he told me that they have the same threatened species on that land that ECS has on this land, which is the ginger plant. It's a threatened species. Trey Trickett said he would leave it up to Fish and Game to determine which one of the two was on this property, but he provided pictures, and it is the threatened species. Highway 176 has had to buy land and transport those threatened species to that new land. So that's number one. I also talked to the Army Corps of engineer that did the study on the ECS property, and the non-jurisdictional wetland that you're talking about was a man-made basin to collect water, dug by Milliken. The rest of the land is wetland, so it is jurisdictional. They will have to get a permit to do anything on it, and I'm worried that when we have these flooding rains, which we do have at least once a year, I'm worried about all the properties around there. I worked for a local doctor for many years, and the people in Polk County are wonderful people. And I just think new people moving in just don't care about our county like everyone here that's lived here for many years. And if I was going to build a development in a county where the majority of the people didn't want me, I think as a gentleman, I would not build there. But I hope that you will at least look into the DOT information that I just provided to you, and also the Army Corps of Engineer information. Thank you.
Sarah Weaver.
Hello, I'm Sarah Weaver. I live at 301 Rosewood Lane. This is my 6th time before the board. It has been 5 months since ECS was last before the town board. One would think they would have addressed the issues that were brought before the town board. If you recall, February meeting, March meeting, April meeting, May meeting, ECS has not only ignored the errors exposed in the endangered species report, they have, this report was dated August 5th. They've just resubmitted the same old report. There's a few missing pages in it. The report is in great error and it needs to be redone. First off, the correct protocols were not used. The report was not done at the suboptimal time. It was done on July 28th and 29th of 2024 when plants and animals were in dormancy. The government agencies were not appropriately engaged. All trees are planned to be removed and most of the land regraded and destroyed, destroying habitat and plant life. We request of the board a properly done endangered species report with a consulting biologist that includes all issues brought forward in the previous town meetings, as well as including the State of North Carolina Natural Heritage Program, a bat survey with netting, because we know there's bats there, but they've never been identified, an eagle survey, a proper eagle survey. You can't just say there's eagles and then go on with it. You need to actually study it, as well as a heartleaf study. We also requested the board to contact the Army Corps of Engineers and tell the Army Corps the current ECS report is incorrect, which it is incorrect, and that is allowed. And it needs to be redone to include assessment of both properties, the 25-acre property and the 75-acre property. And they're owned by two different LLCs. It's not one owned property. This new assessment by the Army Corps, because they only did a little teeny tiny, like 3-acre piece. Let's do all 100 acres. And the Army Corps assessment needs to include all the streams, all the ponds, all the springs. There are springs there. There's possibly even headwater springs that need to be identified. The Army Corps is the government agency that would do that. And you can't ask for that. In addition to that, all the wetlands, 75 acres of this land is approximately 75 acres is riverine forest wetland, and that was not identified correctly in the ECS report that was submitted in February of this year.
Okay. Lisa Crowley.
Thank you, Planning Board, for hearing me this evening. There was a TIA that was submitted, and then the DOT submitted a letter approving it or accepting the TIA, but please note the TIA is conditionally accepted by NCDOT on the allowing for the comments and required mitigations. That's on page 2. I have my eyes dilated, so if I take a minute just to try and focus here. So it's just going to kind of cover some of the things that the DOT have mitigated. So some of it to me is confusing because I'm not a traffic engineer. NCDOT notes there are numerous intersections shown on the site plan that create safety concerns. It appears that every internal intersection has multiple driveways without adequate corner clearance. The lack of corner clearance creates conditional concerns both vehicles, bikes, pedestrians, traffic. Due to corner clearance, Walker Road, NCDOT would recommend that investigating options to create internal connectivity to collect the traffic from the lots fronting. If you remember the lots on Windward Drive, there's 32 homes there. They all have driveways onto Windward Drive. They don't connect into the subdivision. Windward Drive is a private drive. It's in the county. It's not in Columbus. And so to me, that's all confusing. How's that all going to work out? Because DOT says they don't want all these driveways. And then there's DOT was suggesting that some kind of road that all these homes will connect to inside the development, and so there's a lot of words in there. Let's see, and then DOT and the Town of Columbus staff met to go over the UDO and to make sure all this stuff was covered by the UDO. So there's 3 things in there that they said need to be addressed by the UDO issues. Requires pedestrian facilities. There's number 2 requires, let's see, DOT. Skip that one. And then there's some detail, I'll just leave that so I can keep going on. Okay, and then the Windward Drive, again, it's a county road. And then each intersection, not all of them, but most of the intersections all needed some kind of changes.
Thank you for your efforts and your work that you've done today. However, I believe the plan is totally wrong for both the town and the county. When this land was first annexed into, when the property was first annexed into the town, it was done so under a TNT zoning. TNT zoning, as originally proposed, showed a mixed-use type development. The current plan shows almost none of the mixed-use requirements of a TNT. I make this statement that and the objection that the current plan does not meet either the intent or the wording of the intent of the zoning ordinance. If you can look at the original plan and the current plan, almost all of the commercial uses have been eliminated. The senior housing was eliminated. The parks were eliminated. The shopping center was eliminated. The townhouses were eliminated. All of the things that would make this a real mixed-use development or a development under a TNT zoning have been eliminated, with the exception of the subdivision. Had this plan been submitted at just a subdivision, which is what it is, one big subdivision, nothing else. It's not a TNT use nor a TNT zoning. It is a subdivision. I would make the proposition that it's an incorrect plan, has been approved incorrectly, and that the uses that have been eliminated are what have made it, would have made it a TNT zoning, and as it stands now, it does not meet the ordinance. Thanks.
Will Kovar.
We have gotten a lot of opinions from the state authorities who are experts that say, don't worry about the water supply, everything will be fine. Don't worry about the schools, that'll be fine too, except that we had the school superintendent here who said it might cost us $50 million to build another school. We've got people from the EPA saying, don't worry about it, we're experts, no problem. I'm worried about it. In my opinion, and I guess I'm not an expert, and that makes all the difference, none of these things are going to be okay. And I'll remind you of this. The Titanic was built by experts.
My name's Dawn McEmery, and I reside at 7 Walker Road, just right off of Fox Mountain. So my property borders where their property is in question, and at the bottom of my driveway is the creek, and it floods when we get heavy rains, Helene, and then last year. And it feeds down to working farms, as you know. I've talked about this before, but there's 2 natural springs on my property. One I wasn't aware of, and there's also, it's all the springs around the whole entire property in that area. And I fought off a development right next to me that we're gonna try to do some progress, and they couldn't do it because of the spring, because it runs down onto my property. This property that they're looking at to developing, there's a lot of springs, I can guarantee you, on that property. There's how many acres of the wetlands, and my property sits right below. If that runoff comes off that property and onto my property, they're gonna have a problem. But I will tell you, we all have concerns, whether it's wildlife, traffic. There's so many concerns about this coming in town, because it's coming into a town that we're so underdeveloped. We need a lot of work in this town, and you're coming in with this kind of a project? And so, I probably a lot of us don't mind if someone comes in and says, hey, 3 acres, a house on 3 acres, you know, if that's reasonable. You don't butcher the land, you have wildlife and concern, which is a lot of people's concerns here, and the traffic. Walker Road can't handle that traffic. Not the work trucks coming in, not the people coming out, and definitely going on 108, they can't handle that. And so, you know, you do something reasonable, yeah, then drainage will be better maintained. And, I don't know, I just, one of my points was, you know, when you do something to your property or to your house, or if you have someone come into your town and do a development, you want to make sure that you know these people have good intentions, that you're going to hire someone, say, to your house that you've got good references, you know that they're honest and they respect your money. And I feel like these people do not have any respect for what we care in this community.
I'll say.
We don't want them here. And I will say, and I'm going to just point out a few facts that shows that they don't care what we care about. And that is, if you go in, so like if you were going to have something done to your house, oops, reviews.
Time.
Just think about the lanes that they're calling.
Time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just read these. I can read it afterwards. I want you to read his reviews, and I want you to read the lanes that they named the streets. They're mocking us.
Lee Emerson.
Good evening, my name's Lee Emerson. Thank you for letting us come and speak tonight. It's pretty apparent that this project is not complete. It's not following the UDO. There's many reasons to send this back to the drawing board, and that's what we ask you to do. I mean, this sewer and water plan here, 2 sentences from the Public Works Director that, oh, it's okay. No facts of any kind. And we have people here suffering every day with runoff that's causing the creek to be black, to be smelling chlorine and ammonia smells. It hasn't been addressed. How old is that plan? When was that created? Do you guys know? What year? You don't even know.
No, I don't know.
But you're going to pass something maybe tonight, okay? That's unbelievable. I mean, how can this be given, this letter, without any supporting data about the old sewage infrastructure, what's constantly leaking and discharge from the system? There also is no buffer around the pond, the only real wetland there, and that's something that is mandatory. So why would we even think about passing this thing tonight until that is cleaned up? So that's another reason not to pass this. Finally, we're being taxed to death here in Polk County. And some people getting 50%, closer to 100% increases in their taxes. is this set up for the developers to pay all of the additional costs that will come into our county, schools, water, everything? Is that happening? Can anyone answer that? No, it's not happening. So that means the people of Columbus will pick up the tab on this.
Polk County.
You know, this is unbelievable. We found a lot of irregularities in this thing here. It's not ready. And we asked you to postpone it and send them back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Madeline Marie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for hearing me tonight. My name is Madame Bunny Lavere, also known as Madeline Marie. I live at 452 Walker Road in Columbus. And I come tonight to say we have before us blessings or a curse. This proposed thing that someone who doesn't live here is proposing is not right. It's not. They will tear down the trees. I'm here to speak on behalf of all the wildlife. And yes, I do love bunnies. But I love all the wildlife. I love Mother Earth. What they are proposing is not right. In God we trust. Y'all have a big decision to make. We have experienced Helene. We have experienced the Polk County fires. Where is the wildlife going to go when the destruction, the devastation, the noise pollution, the traffic, where is every animal, every tree going to go? So, we have a choice. We can either choose a blessing or we can choose a curse. I don't know about y'all. It's a blessing to live where I live. It is an absolute blessing. I live on 3 acres directly across the street from where they want to put 32 driveways on the blind curve where people drive over the line. We can either choose a blessing or a curse. This proposed site is not in harmony with Walker Road. Where I live, we have a homestead, we have bees, we have chickens, we have 2 rescue dogs from Foothills. We can either choose a blessing or a curse.